Welcome to the presentation on the bond pricing assignment that you're going to do in Excel. There are 3 questions overall, and this is a little more advanced than some of the stuff we have taken before. So you can see that this company's issued a bond 14 years ago, and it gives you the coupon rate, and the payments are semi-annual. It gives you the market rate or the yield to maturity rate of 5.2%, and we will assume that the par value is $1,000. Now, when we go to enter the formula in D18, we have to be careful of several things. The first thing is activate formula by selecting the equal sign. Because the face value is 100, we have to multiply it by 10 to get the value per 1,000. Then you're going to use a function in Excel called price, which the price is for the bond price. The settlement date in this particular case is cell D7. So we're going to select D7, then go comma. The next is the maturity date, which you can see is D8, comma, to move on to the next cell. We are asked to calculate for the rate, which is the coupon rate. So that would be cell D9. Next, we're asked for the yield. The yield is down a couple of rows. It's in cell D12. We are then asked for the redemption, which is 100, which is D11. This is why we multiply by 10, so it'll give us per 1,000. And finally, we're going to use cell D10 for the frequency. So this will be for the semi-annual. Go right bracket, and we are correct. Of $1,159.19. As you remember from previous Excel assignments, you can't just do it on your calculator and type the number in. You actually have to use the functions. Next, question number 2. In this particular case, we are given the settlement date, maturity date, etc., and we are asked to calculate the yield, which is a different function in Excel. So it's like the IY calculator on your BA2+. So in this particular case, we go down to cell D18, go equal, which again activates the formula. Now in this case, you type in the function yield. Bracket, the settlement date is cell D7. Again, make sure to put the commas in. Then the maturity date is D8. The next cell is the next cell that we're going to enter is D9, which is the coupon rate, or as it's listed in Excel is simply rate. The next cell down is asking for the par value, which is D12, which is 105. So this bond is selling for 105% of the face value. So $105 per 100. Next, the redemption, which is in this case D11. Right. And finally, we now have the coupon, which is the frequency here. So the frequency of the coupon payments is semi-annually, which is D10. Close the formula with the right bracket, and correct answer of 6.62%. Moving on to the third and final example. Now you can see there's a bunch of information at the top here. So this may be a little harder to read. So I'm going to give you how to calculate the price of the bond, the very first one, which is bond X for 13 years. And this is very much like question number 1. You're going to have to select different maturity dates. So I'm going to give you the first one, but I don't want to give you the answers for everything. So I'm going to do bond X for 13 years. So as we did before, you go equals. Now remember, you're going to have to multiply it by 10 because it treats it per 100. So you want it per 1,000. The next part that you do is you put in price, then left bracket. You select the settlement date, and because it's further up on the screen, it's a little hard to scroll back and forth. I'm simply going to type it in. It is D10. Maturity date is D11, and you can scroll up when you do this on your own. The next is the rate, which is in cell D8. The yield is in D9. The redemption, in this particular case, is in D18. And finally, the frequency is located in cell D19. Bracket and close. So you're going to have to be careful when you do this, although you may just be able to copy and paste it down for X, but if you do that, you may have to put in some cell references that are absolute. And if you know the difference between absolute and relative references in Excel, relative references, when you copy, they change. So if you refer to cell A5 and you copy it down, it will go to A6. If you copy it right, it'll be B5. But an absolute reference where you have the dollar signs will stay static. So if you have A5 in an absolute reference with the dollar signs, and you can put the dollar signs in, by the way, by hitting F4 on your keyboard, and then when you copy it, it doesn't change. So cell A5 in an absolute reference will always stay as cell A5. I don't want to do the rest of them for you because that would literally give you the answers. So I've done the first one for you. So you're going to have to figure out which ones you will copy down in an absolute reference and which cells you'll copy down in a relative reference. So that is a presentation on how to calculate the bond prices in the assignment.